morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the day of the video, Darren. How's it going today? Today, it's a little bit different to normal. I'm home still. Wednesday, at least this week, I don't have any lectures, so there's no need for me to go to campus. So there's no point wasting petrol or anything going to campus. So, I'm working from home. It's 8:30 at the moment, and I have Visual Studio up on both screens, and oh my god, this is nice. I've got so used to programming on my Surface that this is lovely. I'm enjoying having code here. I've got all of the solution and stuff there, so I can just whip over and do stuff without having to tap on the menu and it pop out, and then I click on it. And I've even got something that I can use as reference on that screen as well. What I'm going to do at some point is, because I need to do my project proposal as well, I'm going to say, right, as soon as you've done a method or a certain section, jump over, do a bit of the proposal, jump back, that kind of thing, to try and liven up the day a little bit. Yeah, since I'm not going to university today because I don't have a lecture, I don't have a lecture this week. I do have one week 3, week 4, week 5, and week 7, I think. So after that as well, I've got Wednesdays off, so I can just stay here and work, assuming that it's nice and productive for me to do so. But yeah, that's the plan there. Otherwise though, last night and stuff, after I ended the video, I actually stayed up and caught up on all my notes. I hadn't quite got everything finished. I was going to do stuff this morning, but Laura went to bed at about 11 and it took about 40 minutes for my video to upload, so I went through all of my notes and stuff. So it's literally just this and my project proposal, my priority today. I should really start doing intelligent agent work, but I want this section done, and then I can do intelligent agent. I feel but I think it's a good way to go, is spending a lot more time on finding a project. I mean, this is worth 3 modules on its own. That coursework there is worth 25% of a singular module. You know what I mean? So it's all about balancing how much time you spend on things. I should spend a lot of time on this. I'm spending a lot more time than a lot of people are, but yeah. But otherwise, yeah, it's gorgeous, this working on 2 screens. Still a bit bunged up and a bit coldy, unfortunately. But we should have a good day. I do have a bit of a to-do list to do today. I've got to print something out for Laura, I've got to reply to some emails, a little bit of admin-y stuff, but I should be able to do that at lunch. Obviously, the idea is that I'm working what I'd work at university, which is I'd normally get to university at 8, and then I'd work, have lunch, hour drive, work up until about 5ish, and then maybe do slight notes and stuff after 5. Today the plan is start work at 8:30, because I didn't get out of bed until about 7:20 because Laura was in the shower and stuff. I had a bit of a lie-in, so I didn't want to wake up Laura early when I don't have to go early, you know what I mean? So the plan is work around the same kind of time frame, so I'm still going to have an hour lunch or so, and at that time we're going to have a shave and all that kind of shit. So yeah, it's going to be a productive day, ladies and gentlemen, and I've already started developing some stuff while I was waiting for Laura to go. But yeah, let's get into it. I feel like I need to blow my nose as well. I'm currently working with some of the assemblies that I found the other day. When I was on campus, I found... For my project, it's important that I'm able to compile a lot of different code sources. So I may have up to, well, in theory I could have 1,000 different solutions that I might want to build all at the same time, or in different threads and all that kind of shit. In theory, although I doubt people will run it that, because I'm not going to run it that big in testing or anything. Although I guess I should just leave it running overnight one night. Just oh, there you go, have fun. So essentially I need to be able to build solutions at will. The way that I've done this previously on a really basic test suite, what I did, previous to all of this McGubbins, I designed, just to, as a proof of concept, I built a literal one page which did everything that I needed it to do within reason. It was a bit silly, it didn't do the job properly, but it proved that it could be done. Which is always good. In that scenario, what I did was I dropped out into PowerShell and ran PowerShell scripts in order to build all of the solutions that I'm building. The problem with that is, in a proof of concept, that's quite quick and dirty to get up and running. The issue is now when I'm running 10 different things in parallel, I need to be able to sit and asynchronously wait for things to finish, and I need to be able to build the PowerShell scripts so that if they fail nicely. There's like a lot of complexity in getting the PowerShell scripts working and getting C# working so that it's ready to accept everything back from the PowerShell and all that kind of shit. So I found an assembly in the .NET framework that lets me basically wraps around MS Build so that I can use MS Build from within the system. I mean, like if I go to things like enum, I may have to go to PowerShell and stuff like that, but at the moment I'm just using MS Build because I'm just wrapping around C# code, so that's fine. I'm trying to work out all of these build parameters, and I'm going through the MS Build stuff, and this is the first time so far that I've got to like hook into other people's code, because obviously it's a .NET assembly. I've got to give it all of the right information for it to work and get it out, and it's quite difficult to figure out how the hell to do that and build it in a unit testable way. And I just think I can't not have good unit testing because it'll be just too fucking ironic. So I'm currently going through all of these. Look how many pages I've got open on MSDN. Trying to go through the chain of command for this thing, and I'm like, Christ, it needs a lot of information. And like, do I have that information? I may need to step back a couple of into like previous projects and pull that information out, or should I pull it out in this project? If it fails, what should I do? And it's like lots of different things going on. It's really interesting. And now we're looking at design decisions now, because by the looks of everything I'm finding online here, this build manager thing needs a lot of information, and the amount of information it needs to come from somewhere. Whether do I hard code in that information? No. The answer is always no to that. Do I pass it in? If so, where do I pass it in from? Do I pass it in from the app config? Do I pass it in from command line? I imagine I don't pass it in from command line. Do I pass it in from app config? Do I try and pass it in from another XML file somewhere? I mean, the idea of this is that it automates as much as possible. But in the world of builds, it doesn't look like that's going to be like, in theory, I want it to be easy to go, oh, we're not using MS Build for this project, we're going to use this build agent instead. And you just pop it out, pop it back in, change a line in the app config to say use this, point at this, and it works. So now I've got to have a design, I've got to figure out how possible it is to get all this information out of the information I've got available to me. Like maybe it's embedded in the solution. Maybe it's so I can just pull it out of XML files there. Maybe you can just... You see, I want this to work without people having to make edits to their code. I want it to just work alongside their code, so mine has to be really complicated to make up for that fact. Otherwise I could just be like, yeah, if you just did put an XML file in your code that gives all these this information, that's not ideal. I want it literally just be able to just plug in and play kind of thing. It's going to be harder than I thought, unfortunately. I was expecting it to be like, huh, lol, build, and then it works. But no, unfortunately not. And things like, obviously it wants to know the .NET framework. Of course it does. I must be able to pull that out from the solution instead of having to do that in the app config. I don't want people to have to type in the app config, oh, MS Build, so next time 4 point whatever comes out, they'd have to change everything, or it won't work. I don't want that to happen. I want it to be magic. It's hard to program magic. This is all because I don't have a project file in the solution, because there isn't a solution level project file. That's what I need to load. So MS Build builds things by solution, by project, not by solution. You can't just give it a solution and go build this. It's a ball ache. It's compounded by the problem that like a couple of years ago, like 2013, everything changed. Like Microsoft have made some stuff old and made some stuff new, and all of these files, like this document here, it was 2011. There's an object called project collection, which is a collection of all the projects within the solution. That's being passed in separately to the other bit of information that's needed, which is the build parameters. Or is it part of the No, it's not part of the build parameters, but it needs to go in. Oh yeah, in the build request data. So essentially you're going, why can I not magic that out though? I may have found something. I just found something where someone was using fucking... When did he post that comment? Posted that comment in 2011. He's using .NET 2.0. Fucking hell. That looks decent now. So if I feed it the solution name, there's global properties which I need to pull out, which might be defaulted. If I have a default build manager, new build, what do you do with those global properties? Oh, they go into the build request. Do they need to go into the build request? Could you not default them? And if it defaults, then is that going to cause me an issue? Project instance, I could feed it instead of global properties, but I don't have that information. What's a project instance? That'd be something that's already built, wouldn't it? I could get that. Oh no, because I'm building it for the first time. Oh. It needs to be built for the first time, so yeah, okay, right. I think I've got a solution for this. Make a note of this webpage, Jesus. Apologise, by the way, if this isn't making good vlog watching. For those of you who aren't interested in things like developing, / aren't interested in trying to piece together what I'm talking about, because in between clips, like a good 10 minutes has passed, and I'm not really telling you all the information either, because I'm not walking you through it step by step. For those of you who don't enjoy that, or don't enjoy watching someone who is horrendously bunged up with a cold, I apologise. This video is probably not for you. By the looks of it, I can pull out most of the information I need from the project files. It kind of does it kind of automatically as well, which is kind of good. I like that a lot. So I've decided that the best way of doing this most likely is to have a section in the app config where you say, like, because at the moment that's where it's customizable. So you say in the app config, I want to use MS Build, and it will go, right, okay, MS Build. Then the builder of my MS Build agent will go, okay, so if you're going to use MS Build, that means you're likely to need this extra information. So it will go off and pull down a section in the app config, like called MS Build Global Properties, which is either there or isn't there. If it isn't there, then it will default everything to the basic stuff, like, this is literally just things like configuration equals debug, platform equals x86, all that kind of shit. So if you want to fine tune it, you can, but it will default it otherwise. So I'm going to build that in now. It's very easy to jump in a rabbit hole when you do programming. You just start jumping down and down and down until you get to the point where you realise you should be spending your time doing something else. Which is what happened when I was doing the fucking command line section of this project. But yeah. So that's my plan. I'm going to get this sorted, I'm going to get this implemented. I've kept a note of all the things I need to do, and I am going to, in fact, shall I update my OneNote stuff now before I jump into this? I think so. Okay, so it's about 12:30. I'm thinking of having lunch now because I've kind of just come to a natural end. I was going to work till 1 because that's when I normally have lunch, but I've come to like a natural end to my project. Unless I spend half an hour writing the proposal. I might do that actually. So I have worked on the method of ensuring the customization of the build settings. So basically what I've had to do is I've had to go back and add in an extra method onto my like application configuration wrapper. I'm enabling the ability to add extra sections so that you can add a custom section if you want to use MS Build, or a custom section if you want to use Enant or whatever, and in theory you will then be able to use all of the settings in there to do your other stuff. The advantage of putting it in a separate section means that it only ever gets called, and it's only ever like if you what am I trying to say? In app settings, like everything there is essential. That's like my essential chunk. But like, I don't think app settings necessarily needs to know all of the specifics of the MS Build stuff, because MS Build stuff is quite specific and it's quite messy, and it's just going to make app settings look messy and difficult to maintain and understand and stuff. So I think moving it out into a separate section makes it easier. It also means that moving it out into a separate section, like you can use. Like, I don't have to tailor it. Really difficult. I can basically go, I don't have to tail the app settings or something into so it suits MS Build, and then suddenly it get down the line. Like at the moment for MS Build, I don't need a build agent path. But if for something else, I may need a build agent path. So you know what I mean? Like there's a conflict of interest there. So I don't really want to have a tag in there that says build agent path. If you're going to have a build agent that doesn't have one, that should just be managed by the application, by that little chunk there. It does mean that that section, that compiler has to be able to deal with all of that kind of information, but it'll be able to do that, so fine. So yeah, that was fun. I had some issues with name value collections, which is the old, it's a really old style object, which is really slow and sluggish. I'm trying to get that into a dictionary, but then I'm trying to handle the errors because the way it reads things if there's a duplicated key is fucking retarded. So I had a bit of fun there trying to figure out why the hell it was allowing me to have duplicate keys and not erroring, but then I'd look at them and then one of the keys was disappearing, and then whew, that was fun. So anyway, I am on the stage now where I'm getting back into the realm of having to build it. So I wanted to build it by the end of today, get everything built. So I think that's probably going to be possible, to be honest with you. Obviously I've spent this morning building like bits of the project so that it will support that, and obviously wrapping tests around it to make sure it's fine. I currently have 176 tests wrapping around my code, of which I believe about like 12 or 13 are acceptance test level, the rest are all unit tests. It's good fun, man, it's good fun. So, should we have lunch? Or shall we do my report? I'm thinking lunch. Because I want to have lunch, I want to have a shave like this, and I want to print stuff, so I'm going to do that, I think, and then we'll come back to it. I'm quite hungry as well, to be honest. The same old boring beef and cucumber sandwich for breakfast. I was making my sandwiches last night, thinking, oh, I'm going to make my sandwiches for uni, and then I went, oh, I'm not going to uni. I just made a sandwich. It's too late, got to eat it now. Otherwise I could have had something more exciting. I think some time has passed since I last talked to you. I've made quite a few changes to this again, because I'm always making changes to things. I got to the point where like the builder is starting to do too much, and I feel like if each I don't know how different all of the different compilers are going to be, so there are things that should just be, if it should be dealt by the compiler as opposed to all the builders. The builder shouldn't have to, although the builder by definition builds compilers, or technically it builds build agents. Okay, while the builder builds other build agents, it shouldn't necessarily know how every single one of them works, like all of the specifics of each and every single one of them. There's no reason why they themselves can't set themselves up. So I've set them up with a like public interface where the builder selects which one to build, produces one, and then calls an initialize compiler function, and then tested that, and then made sure that works. I'm now going through and pulling all of the data from the app config. However, the problem I'm now having is, because things are being done in the... The problem I'm now having is that I'm testing this. I'm trying to test it as much as possible. Obviously with unit tests and stuff. And I'm getting to the point now where these kind of things are a bit of a bitch to test. Because things like the... So I'm calling initialize da-da-da, and then it's allowing, it's like pulling all of these global settings and stuff. Now really these global settings, I say global settings, I mean global properties, which are used for the MS build thing. Really these global thingies shouldn't be made public on a public interface because they're specific to that specific class. So there's no point having, because MS build thing derives from iCompiler. iCompiler, I'm able to stub out things, so I'm able to use iCompiler's functions to go, I basically treat every single one of these. So, I apologise, this doesn't make any sense. I need a whiteboard. So, I'm rubber ducking, by the way, now. I'm helping plan in my head. So then, what's essentially happening is, I have, let's pretend, I have the idea of an iCompiler, and an iCompiler is something that is able to compile code. A builder then comes along and goes, okay, so what kind of project have you got here? You've got this kind of project, okay, you need this compiler. And it will go off and it will go, right, okay, in this scenario you need an MS Build compiler. In this scenario I only have an MS Build compiler, so that's why it's getting confusing. It pulls an MS Build compiler, sets it all up, and then fires it on. The problem is I want to test whether it's successfully getting things like the global settings from the app config and all that kind of stuff. But the only way I can really test that, because as far as I'm concerned, it's just an I compiler. I don't need to know whether it's MS config, whether it's a MS build, or whether it's an enant, or whether it's a Java compiler. I don't need to know that information, so I can't really put it on the interface, because there's no way that interface is ever going to need that information, you know? It's a ropey driving happening there. Someone just came, there was in a queue of traffic, and then just went out onto the wrong side of the road to go to the end and then turn right. If a car would have come then, that would have been... Anyway. And then everyone in front of him would turn left. Words and things. So, I can't have specific things on the interface, because basically what I would do in this scenario is I would go, okay, so I need to be able to see this, I will put it on the interface and then get it. But in some scenarios, the compiler won't be able to give it me because it won't exist. Like in a Java compiler, it may not have a single thing like to do with this global property, so that method doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense on the compiler. So it's a private field on this thing that I want to test, and it's so embedded that I'm not going to be able to test it in any other way apart from testing a private variable, which is bad. General rule of thumb if you're doing C# development, if you ever write the line using space system.reflection semicolon, then you're doing something wrong. You shouldn't be doing what you're doing, because the reflection namespace is basically, it's aptly named because you need to strongly reflect on why the fuck you're using it, because it's fucking scary powerful. So I'm now in the scenario where I'm actively breaking my idea of like you shouldn't really have to test private variables and stuff, because I have to test it. I mean, like in a scenario where it needs to be tested, but it's so low level. What this basically means, if you go to system.reflection, you need to redesign your project. As a general rule of thumb, redesign your project so that you don't have to use it. But I don't know how to redesign it, so I have to use it. But anyway, it's good for now. But I guess like something like this, I do want it quite locked down. I don't want it to be weird, I guess. I don't know. Oh. Right, now we're on building stuff properly this time, and I'm just going to build it so that it's like I've got that one thing out. Everything else here can be hard coded, and then I don't have a test harness for this. That's the problem. I've got no way of I've got no acceptance test. I'm going to have to build an acceptance test to test it, but this is looking pretty ready. All hooked up, but it doesn't build, so I'll have to face that at some point. I'm cooking a brain. And good evening again, ladies and gentlemen. We are ending this video now. It's about to be, well, it's 9 o'clock. It's 1 minute past 9, and we're waiting for Bake Off to hit 2 minutes past 9 for Bake Off to hit iPlayer so we can watch it, because we can't watch it live because we're scrubs and don't have TV licenses yet. So we've just been out for a walk, trying to avoid all social media, trying to avoid. I've not checked Twitter, not checked Facebook or anything until we finish watching this, because it's exciting. But yeah, so we just went out for a walk around block and stuff. We've had a dinner. I'll have a big cup of tea, please. But yeah, so we're going to have a cup of tea and some Rocky Road, and then we're going to watch Bake Off. Tomorrow is a busy day at uni. Thursdays, unfortunately. Although I've got a lot of stuff. 2 hours, then a 3 hour gap, so I should be able to finish off the coursework, the lecture notes from those 2 lectures in that lecture, in that gap. Saying words, not really meaning anything though. And then stuff. So basically it's going to be a busy day. Hopefully I can spend that 3 hours on my own instead of being pestered by people. But don't know, depends how likely it is I can find a room or anything. Cool. I don't know tomorrow whether I'm going to try and find time to fix my stuff, which is broken, but well, it works. It just needs. I've got a list of things that I need to do. Depends how short it is and how much time I have. I should really be doing intelligent agent stuff at some point soon, too. But that's all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching this video. We will catch you later.